Hello folks, this is John Lincoln, and we will continue the Dubai story later. Please hit like, share, and or subscribe so that I can bring more such videos for you. I just want to give you a variety of different flavors of interesting topics, hence the shift from my personal experiences in Dubai. Now imagine that you are a rock star manager in the United States with a track record that is flawless and results-oriented. So the company sent you to lead a make or a break project in Brazil. By the way, I was in Brazil for a period of 6 months, on and off every month in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Of course, I never knew any of this key learnings here. You bring the exact same playbook that made you a legend back home. You're confident. You're ready to crush it. But a month later, the entire project had imploded, and perhaps your team is totally disengaged, so much so nobody makes eye contact in meetings. It appears that your entire operation is catastrophically behind schedule, and that you could be one report away from not just losing the entire project, but rather it seems that you are about to torpedo your entire career. As you might have guessed, this happens all the time, and talented leaders walk into new cultural landscapes, assuming that their success would be universal. Everyone learns the hard way that it is not. Everyone learns the hard way, just like many foreign leaders, especially American leaders, hit rock bottom in Brazil. More often than not, priceless leadership lessons are learned the hard way. These leadership styles for many leaders was built on 3 pillars of efficiency, transparency, and empowerment. These were not just buzzwords to them. They were sacred and sacrosanct. In the United States, many of the actions by these leaders would have merited them a promotion. Many in Brazil were told that he or she had an open door policy. Unfortunately for these American leaders, no one turned up. These leaders, when having meetings with their teams, their direct feedbacks in Brazil were met with dead silence. Everyone felt the energy being sucked out of every meeting rooms. Instead of sparking healthy competition, this individualist reward system created resentment, and people withdrew into silos. The collaborative culture that existed before his or her arrival started breaking apart. In their desperation, these leaders did something that they have not done before. They stopped doing stuff that they were doing before and started listening more. These leaders started listening and dug into cross-cultural leadership theories and stated to change everything. These folks discovered the cultural iceberg and realized that behavior, language, and etiquette was just the tip. They soon realized that there was beneath the surface. They also realized that values, assumptions, and beliefs drove those behaviors. They also realized that was where the disconnect was, and that this was what had sunk their ships. Most of these leaders learned about power distance, which simply meant the extent to which a society accepts hierarchical orders without question. In the United States, people expect flat structures, open discussions, and a challenge the boss mentality. These leaders' open door policy would have made perfect sense back home for them. Unfortunately for them, Brazil has a high power distance where people respect hierarchy. Brazilians do not casually stroll into the boss's office to challenge decisions, and they certainly don't call out problems in a group setting. These American leaders thought that they were being transparent. Their teams saw a leader disregarding protocol and publicly shaming these people and humiliating them. These leaders need to move on to understand communication styles in other countries. They need to realize that the United States is a low-context culture where one is expected to say what you mean and mean what you say. It is not that simple everywhere else. Brazil, especially, is a high-context culture where the communications are layered, relationship-driven, and totally indirect. What we all need to know is that it is not just about the words, but rather the tone, context, and the relationship. Straight shooter styles does not work in Brazil at all. It often comes across as cold, blunt, and offensive. As far as the Brazilians were concerned, their silence in meetings was not a lack of input, but rather cultural self-protection. Then came the third piece of the puzzle, The ideas of collectivism, as Americans love celebrating individual achievements. Here in America, lone wolf success stories are baked into the national mythology, unlike the Brazilian collectivist mode. In Brazil, loyalty to the group, harmony and relations mattered to them far more than being a superstar. And here's where the lights finally came on, when leaders realized that their leadership styles were not wrong, but rather it was just misapplied, like trying to hammer a nail with a screwdriver. These American methods were not broken, but rather they were just incompatible with the cultural context. And we all need to realize that leadership is not a fixed formula, but rather a flexible dance. Now here's the thing that we all need to be aware. These American leader stories are not just about Brazil. This is a story about all of us. In today's interconnected world, the most dangerous thing that we all can assume is that our way is the right way. The best leaders are not necessarily the ones with the smartest answers, but rather the ones with the most cultural awareness. Leadership is not a one-size-fits-all, but rather it is about one being situational. So here's the big takeaway. Approach every new culture with curiosity, not judgment. We all need to take time to build genuine relationships, and we don't just translate their words, but we need to translate them with intent. We all need to pay attention to what lies beneath the surface, as that is where the real leadership games are played. And now I want to hear from you as to what is the biggest cross-cultural misunderstanding that you have ever experienced or witnessed in your career. If you think that others would benefit from this, please share, like, follow, or subscribe. Remember that the more we share, the more we grow ourselves.